Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into literally one of the greatest mysteries of the universe. And I'm telling you right now, it is going to completely reshape how you view time. So buckle up because we're about to peel back the very layers of reality. So let's start by challenging basically everything you thought you knew. Throughout history, humanity has been absolutely obsessed with time. We've moved past ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and the Greeks, who actually worshipped time as an angry, all-powerful god. Take the Greek god Kronos, for example, who is literally said to devour his own children, which is a pretty intense metaphor for time consuming everything it creates, right? But setting all that ancient mythology aside, we really have to ask a much more profound question today. What would time actually look like if we could physically see it with our own eyes? For the longest time, we've kind of had this false idea of time as just the rigid hands on a mechanical dial. We created this whole 24-hour system and just assumed time was this constant, invisible force ticking away in the background. But then, Einstein came along and completely shattered that illusion. A total game changer. He proved that time is actually a created, physical fabric. It's a literal structure spread out across the universe that can expand, contract, and bend all throughout space. And to prove this mind-bending theory, scientists obviously didn't just use a regular wristwatch. No, they used a highly advanced atomic clock measuring the cesium atom. Now, this specific atom vibrates at an astonishing 9.19 billion times a second, with flawless, absolutely flawless precision. So scientists synchronized two of these clocks. They kept one here on Earth and shot the other one all the way up into space. And what they discovered was groundbreaking. The clock in space actually started running faster. They proved for a fact that time speeds up in the vastness of space and slows down near super dense masses, like black holes. To put that into perspective, in a desolate, empty region of space known as the Boötes Void, time moves so incredibly fast that one Earth year would pass in just 30 seconds. No way, right? Now, what's really interesting here is how gravity plays into all this. We have four major forces in the universe, but gravity is kind of the ultimate outcast. Unlike electromagnetic or nuclear forces that only affect specific things with charges or atomic structures, gravity is a blind cosmic force. It pulls indiscriminately on absolutely everything in its path, even light. And wherever this gravitational pull is at its strongest, it physically warps and bends that very fabric of time we were just talking about. Okay, so here is where it gets really wild. Centuries before Einstein ever formulated his theories of relativity, the Quran perfectly captured this exact relativity of time. It actually uses four distinct words to describe entirely different speeds of existence. You have waqt, which is a fixed time. Then there's asar, which literally translates to squeezed, beautifully representing time that is just flying by at extreme speed. Heen is the present moment, right now. And finally, dar describes an eternal, incredibly slow-moving cosmic span. So the text already knew that time wasn't this uniform, flat thing.
And to really drive this home, there's a brilliant historical account in Surah Al-Baqarah that perfectly illustrates time dilation. In this event, the exact same 100-year span passed at three entirely different speeds in the exact same location. For the man who was put to sleep, it felt like merely a single day had passed. But his donkey experienced a completely different flow of time, decaying entirely to bones. Meanwhile, his food experienced a third speed altogether, remaining completely fresh and untouched. It is a literal, practical masterclass on how everything passes through time at its own unique speed.
So, what does this all mean? The crucial takeaway here is that time itself isn't actually what's moving. Time is a frozen, solid reality that already contains the past, the present, and the future. Think about it. If time were constantly forming right beneath us from scratch, the entire system of the universe would just crash. Instead, human consciousness moves through this solid fabric, kind of like a passenger sitting on a moving train. You look out the window and it feels like the mountains and trees are rushing past you, but they're actually perfectly still. You are the one doing the traveling. But wait, we need to shift our perspective just a bit here. We aren't just moving in a simple straight line. If you look at nature, from tree rings to the Fibonacci sequence shaping entire galaxies, or even old vinyl records where a whole song is frozen yet only plays when you move along the groove, the pattern is undeniably clear. We actually move through time in a magnificent upward spiral. Every year you return to the exact same date, like your birthday, right? But you aren't the exact same person. You are one level higher on the spiral. We can actually see this upward spiral building throughout all of human history. History isn't just some flat, repeating circle. It's a spiral.
Civilizations rise and fall, sure, but our ability to preserve knowledge continually spirals upward to a higher and higher level. First, humans painted on cave walls. Then the cycle repeated, but a level higher, with clay tablets. Then came paper books. And today, we fulfill that exact same human need by uploading data to cloud storage. We keep revisiting the same core point in the cycle, just for the heightened awareness and way better technology.
Now, on the flip side, it's pretty vital to recognize that the nature of evil also spirals upward. The base intention of the powerful to enslave the weak remains exactly the same, but the methods have definitely evolved. It started with visible physical iron chains. Then the spiral moved up to feudalism, where entire generations were bound to crop labor. Today, we confidently claim slavery is abolished, but actually, scratch that. It's merely taken on a much more invisible form. Just look at modern mortgages, which literally translates from French to death contract. We are trapped in inescapable financial loops that really just represent a more sophisticated turn of that same dark spiral.
Which brings us to a massive, honestly pretty concerning disconnect in our modern lives. While the entire universe, from orbiting planets to seasonal shifts, dances in these beautiful natural cosmic rhythms and spirals, humanity has kind of trapped itself. We've locked ourselves in an artificial, relentless 24-hour loop dictated by fixed morning alarms, the glaring blue light of our screens, and endless 9-to-5 routines. We are totally, completely out of sync with the cosmos.
And the consequence of this? It's severe. We're going round and round like a hamster on a wheel. This endless flat circle completely halts our spiritual and personal growth. It throws off our biological clocks. And honestly, this disconnect from natural time is the very root of mass modern depression, hopelessness, and that constant nagging anxiety you feel that life is just slipping away from you faster and faster.
But hey, you don't have to stay trapped. To cure that awful sensation of time slipping away, this explainer is going to break down 3 powerful, highly scientific ways to break out of that artificial loop and resync ourselves with the universe's natural spiral. Let's get into them.
First up, establishing Salah, or daily prayer. By waking up and intentionally pausing your day at specific times tied directly to the cosmos, you force yourself to break out of that 24-hour mechanical prison. You're no longer operating by a ticking clock on your wall. You are physically aligning your body's rhythm with the actual movement of the sun and the stars. You are stepping right back into the cosmic spiral. Second is performing tawaf, the circumambulation around the Kaaba. You know, humans invented the clockwise motion for our mechanical dials, but just look at nature. Electrons orbit the nucleus, the moon orbits the Earth, and entire galaxies rotate in an anti-clockwise direction. By circling the Kaaba anti-clockwise, you're literally synchronizing with nature, perfectly mimicking the motion of every major celestial body and atomic particle in existence. It is like plugging into the universe's ultimate flow state. Third, you absolutely have to value your free time and your health. There is this incredibly profound saying: ruined is the person whose 2 days passed in exactly the same way. If your today is identical to your yesterday, you are stuck in a flat circle. You have to ensure that today is always at least 1 degree higher in knowledge, awareness, and goodness than your yesterday. That is exactly how you keep yourself constantly climbing up the spiral. All right, as a fascinating little bonus exploration into our final topic, if we are indeed moving forward through the solid fabric of time in a spiral, is it ever possible to travel backward? Like, is time travel actually real? Let's look at an incredibly rare historical anomaly in the Quran that practically serves as a masterclass on how time travel would actually function in reality. We're talking about the famous anomaly of Moses journeying with a highly knowledgeable guide named Khadir. First, they encounter a gateway event. A dead, cooked fish suddenly comes back to life and swims away. Now, this physically breaks the law of entropy, cause and effect. Dead things don't just come alive in a forward-moving timeline. Because this timeline is reversing, it actually creates an immediate memory glitch. Moses' attendant, who was a great warrior, completely forgets this world-shattering miracle even happened. His human memories simply couldn't process the breakdown of linear time. And this glitch opened a gateway for Khadir to step out of the normal flow and make some very surgical timeline alterations. And this is where we see the absolute brilliance of the story. Khadir acts as the ultimate knowledgeable time traveler. By merely making a small hole to damage a boat, he prevents a future tyrant king from confiscating it. Now, you might be wondering, why not just kill the tyrant king? Well, because of the butterfly effect. If you make a massive change in the past, like imagine if someone went back to 1914 and saved Archduke Franz Ferdinand, you wouldn't just save one life, you would accidentally erase the entire modern world.
No World War I means no technological boom, no internet, no modern maps, nothing. Khidr completely avoided this by making a microscopic surgical change to the timeline instead.
So, we know time is this solid, written fabric, and we are constantly traveling through it. But because God's infinite knowledge exists entirely outside of this fabric, He knows every choice we will make without ever erasing our free will. Your choices still matter immensely. So, the ultimate question I want to leave you with today is this. Will you stay trapped in the exhausting, artificial 24-hour loop, just going round and round? Or will you break free and step up into the magnificent cosmic spiral? The choice is entirely yours.